อ You should be afraid of the great Ashley. loves me.
Everybody, give it up for Ramona and the Hot Slices!